Hello everyone, I am Nelly. I want to talk about the homeschooling and how homeschooling can change our education. I want to introduce you the advantages of disadvantages of homeschooling, about the growing rates of homeschooling, and about the impact of homeschooling on our society. Homeschooling may become a fastest growing trend in the 21st century in our education system. Homeschooling, also known as home education, is the education of school-aged children at home or a variety of places other than a school. Today, I want to introduce you, as I mentioned before, the pros and cons of homeschooling and also the benefits that homeschool children can get and the biggest problem that homeschool children can have. So let's start off with introducing the growing popularity of homeschooling education system. There were 3 million homeschool students in the 2020 to 21 academic year, which was about 1 million more compared to the other academic year, according to the National Home Education Research Institute. The more parents are turning to homeschooling system, and they are preferring to homeschool their children rather than send them to the public schools or other private schools. And we all know that the biggest problem was pandemic, and during the pandemic years, more parents switched their children from public schools or private schools to homeschooling. And now let's talk about the pros and cons of homeschooling. What are the pros of homeschooling? Homeschooling gives more control over your child's education. So parents have more control over the topics their children are being taught, and many parents have strong belief that public school curriculum does not provide all the right knowledge that their children need to get. According to an article on New York Times, the most important reason, number one reason I can say that parents switch their children from public schools to homeschooling is safety. So parents doesn't want to send their children to schools where there are shootings, there are drugs or peer pressure or other unsafe environment. So a lot of parents mention that number one reason for them is the safety of their children. Also, they can have more time to spend with their children. This is another reason parents mention why they choose homeschooling rather than public education or regular education, because they have more time to spend with their children, to be involved in their children's education, and to be of part of that educational process. One-to-one teaching and focusing on child's needs and his talents is another reason why parents choose homeschooling. So public school does not concentrate on each child talents or needs, but homeschooling does it, and it's a great reason why parents choose homeschooling, because they know that they can give their children the right education they need, and their talent can be open and used for their whole life. Flexibility is another benefit of homeschooling. What does it mean? It means that children have enough time to make sure that the educational process is going. So parents also want to make sure that the learning process is taking place. That's why they may need more time, and homeschooling gives that flexibility. Now let's talk about disadvantages of homeschooling. Of course, homeschooling has disadvantages too, and number one disadvantage is lack of socialization. And homeschool children sometimes are having socialization problems because they when educated at school, at regular public schools, children interact with their peers, they make friends, they are having social skills, and this gives them great socialization skills. But when studying at home and learning at home, they may have lack of daily socialization that comes with the traditional school system, and they miss interacting with their peers 5 days a week, which can give them, for their whole life, can give them difficulties to make friends. Another disadvantage of homeschooling is that it may be stressful and challenging for homeschooled children, because especially when turning from regular school to homeschooling, this for the first semester at least can give them some stress and uncomfortability. Homeschooling also is more expensive than the regular school, and another disadvantage is that homeschooling requires more discipline and organization. This is also an advantage, but for the first semester or the first year, this can be a disadvantage for parents. So overall, homeschooling is having a great impact on our society, because homeschool children are considered to be more smart, and they are doing better on regular standard tests than the students who are learning in regular educational system. And this is having a positive impact on our future and our society in general. So to conclude, I have talked about the rising rates of homeschooling and the advantages and disadvantages of homeschooling. I have discussed the benefits and the problems of homeschooled children and their parents can face. And before choosing the most convenient educational system for your children, please consider all these reasons why or why not, and then I'm sure that you will make the best decision for your child's future. Thank you.